Alright, let's be real for a second. In Shape of Dreams, every traveler can shine if you invest in the right build, and most memories feel solid when you slot them in. But once you crank up the difficulty, especially on Nightmare, you start noticing that some travelers just pull way more weight than others. The reason is pretty simple. A few of them have stronger base kits and can adapt to almost any situation, while others need very specific setups to even come close to being useful. That difference becomes huge when enemies hit harder and mistakes cost more. So today, we're diving into a tier list for memories in Shape of Dreams, breaking down which ones really make your life easier on the tougher stages. Think of this as your shortcut to figuring out what's worth grinding for and what you can safely leave behind. We'll go through the top picks, talk about why they stand out, and of course, have a little fun along the way. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking memories in Shape of Dreams. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The memories in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Piranha's Fireball, Coin Explosion, Glacial Stomp, Flame Jet, and Glacial Hammer. You know that moment when you pull a shiny legendary memory and think, yes, this is going to carry me through Nightmare, and then 5 minutes later you realize it is basically a death sentence? Yeah, that is the C-tier experience in Shape of Dreams. These are not the worst of the worst, but man, they will make you question your life choices. Let's break them down one by one. First up, Piranha's Fireball. On paper, it is legendary, so you expect greatness, right? The problem is you basically have to run straight into enemies to do damage. Imagine being asked to give a hug to a pack of angry monsters on Nightmare difficulty. Does that sound fun? Not only that, it gives you far less armor compared to something like Her World, and there is no death immunity. So unless your strategy is speedrun my own funeral, this one just feels awkward and dangerous. Now let's talk about Coin Explosion. At first glance, losing 1% of your current gold might not sound like a big deal. But here's the catch. Shape of Dreams memories are usually spammed for damage per second, so every cast is like slowly draining your bank account while you are trying to win a war. Use it 20 times and congratulations, you just blew 20% of your total gold pool. Oh, and do not forget the coin flip that can reset it, which sounds exciting until you realize it just means you are burning more gold for mediocre results. Would you rather deal damage or afford a healing item at the shop? Exactly. Next is Glacial Stomp. The name sounds intimidating, like you're about to smash the ground and obliterate a horde. But reality check, you actually need to dive into that horde first. So instead of wiping them out, you are wasting your mobility just to get in, and then scrambling to get out before you die instantly on Nightmare. Against bosses, it is even worse. You are stomping one lonely target and wondering why you even bothered. Moving on to Flame Jet. This one looks like free damage, and at first you get excited, but then you realize it cannot be cancelled once you start casting. That means if you pick the wrong spot, you are just standing there like a statue while enemies line up to smack you in the face. Sure, the numbers are decent if you land it perfectly, but unless you are positioning like a pro, it is basically a gamble with your life. Glacial Hammer is next, and oh boy, this one is controversial. Some players swear it is amazing. Personally, not so much. The damage is underwhelming, and it is a short-range attack, which means, surprise surprise, you have to get way too close to enemies. On higher difficulties, that is basically signing up for a quick trip back to the loading screen. It is not completely useless, which is why it does not sink to D tier, but let's be honest, it is not carrying anyone to victory either. When you look at these memories as a group, they all have one thing in common: high risk for low reward. They ask you to get close, commit too hard, or sacrifice precious resources, and then give you very little in return. That is a classic recipe for disappointment in any roguelike game, and Shape of Dreams is no exception. The funny part is that most of these sound good on paper. A fiery jet stream, a giant ice stomp, an explosive hammer, who would not want that? But the reality is like ordering a burger from the menu that looks juicy and perfect in the picture, and then getting a sad sandwich that tastes like cardboard. The hype just does not live up to the gameplay. Still, calling them C tier instead of D tier is important. These memories are not completely worthless. If you are creative, very lucky, or just a little bit reckless, you can squeeze some value out of them. They are like the weird cousin at a family party. Maybe not your first choice for fun, but sometimes they surprise you in small ways. So yeah, if you ever pull one of these in Shape of Dreams, do not panic. They are not automatic fails, just awkward tools that need way too much effort to shine. Save them for when you are feeling adventurous, or when you just want to spice up a run with a bit of chaos. Because at the end of the day, even C-tier memories can still give you a good story to laugh about later. The memories in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Butcher's Strike, World Cracker, Shadow Walk, Clutches of Malice, Searing Charge, Shadow Volley, and Spinning Whirlwind. You know what is funny about B-tier memories? They are like that one friend who is not the life of the party but will suddenly bust out some crazy dance move that makes everyone cheer. Sometimes they shine bright, other times they sit quietly in the corner. Basically, they are not bad, but they need the right conditions to really flex their power. Let's start with Butcher's Strike. Legendary name, legendary status, but situational at best. If you get this one early and manage to stack it up, it can feel pretty strong. But if you pick it up later, well, then you are stuck with a line damage effect that feels slow, clunky, and kind of disappointing. It is like showing up late to a buffet. You still get food, but the good stuff is gone. Next is World Cracker. And wow, the name really oversells it. Sounds like something that should break the entire planet in half, right? And honestly, it can do massive damage, but only if you are playing in a team and have someone else tanking for you. The problem is, you cannot move while channeling it. So in solo play, you are basically a sitting duck with a "please hit me" sign taped to your back. Now we have Shadow Walk. This is a good mobility tool, and mobility is always nice to have. But here's the catch. It encourages you to move into enemies rather than away from them. On Nightmare difficulty, that is like running into a burning building with a bottle of water. Sure, you have some control, and as a secondary dash it can be decent, but it is not the kind of get-out-of-jail card you usually want. Clutches of Malice is an interesting one. It gives you crowd control, which is always valuable in chaotic rooms full of enemies. The downside is that it really needs an upgrade to feel good. Without it, it is kind of meh. With it, suddenly you are pulling enemies together and locking them down like some evil mastermind. If you have spare resources to upgrade, it can actually be very satisfying. Searing Charge is another mobility tool, but this one comes with a twist. It resets its cooldown whenever you score a kill. That means if you line up a lot of weak enemies, you can just chain it endlessly, zooming around like some kind of fiery pinball. But if you are facing tanky elites or a boss, the resets vanish and suddenly it feels like you dashed into danger for no reason. And then we have Shadow Volley. Now this one is really interesting. On the right build, especially if you stack up attack speed and pair it with Shadow Overdrive, it becomes an amazing damage tool. Add critical hits into the mix, and you are raining destruction like a machine gun of shadows. But without those synergies, it is painfully slow and unimpressive. Basically, high ceiling, low floor. Spinning Whirlwind falls into the same conditional greatness category. On an attack speed build, it is a fantastic room clearing area of effectability. You just spin through groups of enemies and leave chaos in your wake. But without attack speed, you are just twirling around slowly like a bad ballerina waiting to get smacked. What ties all of these memories together is their dependency. They are not bad by themselves, but they ask for very specific conditions. Whether it is attack speed, upgrades, or a team setup, they all need that extra push to shine. Without it, they sit comfortably in the middle of the pack, never awful, but never god tier either. The thing is, B-tier memories keep the game fun. They give you creative ways to build your run, and sometimes those synergies feel amazing. That moment when you line up Searing Charge resets and dash across the map like a lunatic. That is the kind of fun chaos that keeps roguelikes fresh. At the same time, they can also be frustrating. You look at something like World Cracker and think, yes, this is my nuke! And then you try it solo and realize you just cast Please Kill Me Now. That roller coaster of expectations is part of what makes them memorable, though. Another way to look at B-tier is like backup singers in a band. They are not the star of the show, but when you pair them with the right lead, they make the whole performance better. Shadow Volley without attack speed? Weak. Shadow Volley with Shadow Overdrive? Chef's kiss. So yeah, do not sleep on B-tier memories. They are not safe, reliable picks like A-tier or the powerhouses of S-tier. They are more like spicy wildcards that can either elevate your run or remind you why you keep dying on Nightmare. At the end of the day, B-tier is not about disappointment. It is about potential. If you like experimenting, chasing weird builds, or just laughing at your own bad decisions, these are the memories for you. Because let's be honest, nothing feels better than making an average tool work like a top-tier monster. The memories in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Frostbite, Chomp, Swift Slash, Ice Shield, Radiant Explosion, Cutthroat, and Shout of Oblivion. You know that feeling when you finally grab a memory that just clicks? That is what A tier is all about. These are the ones that may not be godlike S tier, but they are consistent, reliable, and can absolutely carry your run if you play them right. Think of them as the dependable best friends of Shape of Dreams, always there for you, always making your life easier. Let's start with Frostbite. Oh man, this one is such a solid pick. It is fast, it gives you armor, and it hits harder than most other rares. It is that rare mix of both offense and defense in one neat package. The best part? It is not just an early game crutch. It can still save you health even deep into nightmare runs. When something this simple performs this well, you just cannot go wrong. Now, I have to gush a little about Chomp. This memory is just fun. It is free sustain healing if you pick the right moments. Dash in, bite, heal, dash out. It feels smooth and satisfying every single time. It is especially natural with melee travelers, but even ranged characters can use it effectively for bonus healing. Honestly, if you did not have to risk going into melee range to trigger it, this would be easy S tier. But even with that drawback, it is one of the best sustain tools in the game. Swift Slash is up next, and let me tell you, this thing is amazing. Easily one of the best shell memories, and honestly just a fantastic tool for any melee traveler. It is fast damage, it gives you mobility, and you can spam it if you keep hitting enemies because the cooldown gets cut in half. If your build is about speed and flow, Swift Slash will make you feel like a blender shredding through rooms. Ice Shield might not sound exciting at first, but it is a sneaky powerhouse. You get shields, you deal area of effect damage, and you even get healing if enemies are hitting you while it is active. It takes some practice to master, but once you do, it becomes a flexible sustain and defense tool rolled into one. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife. You might underestimate it at first, but it always finds a way to be useful. Then we have Radiant Explosion, and oh boy, this is pure chaos in the best way. It is massive area of effect damage that clears out crowds like they are nothing. And if you chain it by killing enemies to trigger repeats, forget about it. You will be wiping entire rooms in seconds. Add in the fact that each explosion stuns enemies, and you are not just dealing damage, you are also locking things down. It is flashy, powerful, and extremely satisfying to use. Cutthroat is another sustain tool, and while it is trickier to use than Chomp, it has its own charm. There is a little startup, so timing matters, but in exchange you get a dash and potentially more healing if you land it just right. The real trick here is to hit with the outer edge to reduce the cooldown. Master that, and you can spam Cutthroat for insane mobility, damage, and healing all at once. Now let's talk about Shout of Oblivion. This one feels like cheating sometimes. It is a safe-to-use area of effect cone attack that not only deals massive damage but also stuns enemies for 3 seconds. On Nightmare difficulty, that is game-changing. You can clear entire groups, control the flow of combat, and give yourself breathing room. The only catch is not to waste it. If you save it for the right moment, it feels like a free reset button on a bad situation. What makes these A-tier memories so good is their versatility. They are not limited by very specific conditions like B-tier, and they are not awkward to use like C-tier. Instead, they just work. Whether you are playing aggressively, defensively, or somewhere in between, these tools will always give you something valuable. And the sustain options here are fantastic. Between Chomp, Cutthroat, and Ice Shield, you can stack healing and shields to make yourself way more durable than you would expect. In a game where a single mistake can ruin a run, having that kind of insurance feels amazing. At the same time, you are not just surviving, you are dealing serious damage. Frostbite, Swift Slash, Radiant Explosion, Shout of Oblivion, these all pack a punch. They are not small utility tools. They are room-clearing, run-saving, boss-chunking kinds of memories. And that is why they sit comfortably in A-tier. The best part is how fun they are to actually use. A-tier memories feel smooth, responsive, and rewarding. They give you those oh wow moments where everything just clicks. It is not just about power. It is about how enjoyable they are in the middle of a chaotic run. So yeah, if you get these memories in your run, you should feel good about it. They might not always carry you to the finish line the way S-tier can, but they will give you the tools, the safety, and the damage you need to get pretty far. In short, A-tier memories are the backbone of consistency in Shape of Dreams. At the end of the day, A tier is where reliability meets fun. These memories prove that you do not need something broken or overpowered to have a great run. You just need solid tools that always pull their weight. And that is exactly what these give you. The memories in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Arrow Storm, Chain Lightning, Undo, Purgatory, Her World, Burrow, and Shadow Overdrive. S tier is where the magic happens. These memories are not just good, they are game changers. When you get one of these, you do not just get a tool, you get an entire playstyle upgrade. They can carry entire runs, save you from disaster, or turn bosses into target dummies. Let's kick it off with Arrow Storm. This one is an absolute monster. The basic tri-arrows already deal fantastic damage, but the secret sauce is that they also trigger attack effects. That means every synergy you have suddenly skyrockets in value. Add attack speed on top, and you are basically a walking machine gun of destruction. The only real caveat is Shell Travelers on Nightmare. It is just too risky for them. But for everyone else, must have. Next up is Chain Lightning. Talk about crowd control made simple. It is one of the easiest to grab, easiest to upgrade, and most effective area of effect memories in the game. Even on Nightmare, it melts hordes like butter. You cast it, watch the sparks fly, and suddenly the entire room is clear. No drama, no fancy setup, just raw effectiveness. Then there's Undo. Oh man, this one is pure utility gold. It does not matter what Traveler you are playing or what build you are going for. Undo always works. Resetting abilities in a roguelike where cooldowns can make or break a fight. That is insanely powerful. It is the kind of memory you keep in every run because it never stops being useful. Purgatory is up next, and this one deserves the spotlight. For solo runs, it is basically SSS tier because the healing is absolutely bonkers. Against bosses, it triples the healing effect, so you can outlast fights that would normally crush you. In duos, it is still reliable, but once you get more allies, it gets a little messy since the heal is random. Still, on Nightmare, any heal is a blessing, and this one can straight up save your run. Now, let's talk about Her World. This one is spicy. On its own, it is already strong, but when you combine it with essences like Iron Body or Aftershock, it becomes ridiculous. You get massive armor, you cannot die while using it, and you deal massive area of effect damage at the same time. It is basically a delete room, survive anything button. Pro tip, save it for nightmare moments when you are low on health and suddenly you are unkillable and dealing huge damage all at once. Burrow is another gem. Think of it as an extra dodge button with bonus invulnerability. You get to move, you get to avoid everything, and you stay safe while repositioning. Every traveler benefits from it, but for U-Bar, who only has a single dash, Burrow is life-changing. It is one of those memories you grab and never let go of. Shadow Overdrive is a sneaky powerhouse. It is easy to find, but do not underestimate it. The boost to both movement speed and attack speed means you get offense and defense in one neat package. Suddenly, you are dodging everything while dealing way more damage. Travelers like Bismuth get especially crazy with it because their attack speed scaling turns this into a turbo mode for destruction. What makes S-tier memories special is how they break the rules of the game. Everything that usually feels risky or punishing, like being surrounded by enemies or fighting long boss battles, suddenly feels manageable or even easy. These memories give you confidence, and confidence in a roguelike is priceless. Another thing to love about S-tier is their flexibility. Unlike B-tier, which demands perfect conditions, or C-tier, which feels clunky, these just work. Whether you are solo, duo, or in a group, you can always find a way to make them shine. They adapt to your playstyle instead of forcing you into awkward decisions. They also bring that fun factor. Arrow Storm shredding mobs like an anime protagonist, Her World turning you into an unkillable god, Undo giving you infinite skill loops. It is not just strong, it is satisfying. These memories make you smile while you are playing, and that is why you remember them long after the run is over. If A-tier is about reliability, S-tier is about dominance. They do not just help, they define your run. Once you grab one, your entire strategy shifts around it, and that is the mark of true top-tier design. They are so impactful that your playthrough becomes the Arrow Storm run, or the Undo run. The best part? They are not so overpowered that they ruin the game. You still need to play smart, But when you combine skill with an S-tier memory, you feel unstoppable. That perfect blend of power and challenge is what makes them so addicting. So yeah, if you ever see one of these, you grab it. No hesitation, no second guessing, because S-tier memories are not just tools. They are the key to legendary runs in Shape of Dreams. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.